Okay. And we're live.
Welcome to episode 4 of the Thorun Skundo podcast. I'm Skundo.
And I'm Thorun.
And we are interviewing today a good friend of ours by the name of Emery Scott.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah,
It's good to be
have
here.
you.
Yeah.
He's our first official guest of the Thorun Skundo podcast.
Yeah, Emery is the first official guest. How do you feel?
Good. Yeah, I've been an avid listener since like 2 episodes ago. So
Staying committed.
it's a dream come true.
That takes dedication.
It's a dream come true to get on the pod, I guess.
It's been a long time coming.
No,
My kind of timeline,
Yeah.
Line one thing up.
No, you're locked in. You're locked in. You will always have a spot on the pod.
Perfect.
Whatever you want to
Appreciate it.
promote, whatever you want to talk about, you will have a place on the pod.
Well, that's good to know. Right now, don't have too much going on, but if there's anything that I need to promote, it's good that I can have a platform to keep you guys updated.
Emery, I think you got some stuff going on. That's actually the reason why we have you on the podcast. Because I was telling Thorun, I'm like, our window of being able to have you as a guest on for now is kind of short.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I want to get you on before you go on to the next stage in your adventure. But I feel like before we get into that, we should have a bit of an introduction of who Emery is.
Yes.
Or even I'll start out. I've known you since we were 11 or 12?
Yeah,
Or something like that?
definitely half a lifetime ago.
Yeah. So what? We're both 27 now.
Yeah.
We've been damn near best friends since grade 7.
Yeah,
in elementary
we
school.
came out of the trenches for
Yeah,
sure.
so we've been through a lot together. We've known each other for a long time.
Yeah.
And someone I consider like a brother of mine. And we've worked together. We've been coworkers.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. And what was I gonna say? We just have you on the pod because you're gonna be moving away from Vancouver soon.
Yeah.
To a new country, a new continent, pretty much. So yeah, I thought it would be good to get some of your perspective and thoughts behind that.
Still feels like unreal. It's
Yeah.
going to be lined up.
But in your own
I think
words,
it's in the same continent, isn't it?
South America.
No, it's
Okay.
yeah, technically a separate continent.
It's
It's kind of weird though.
It's part of the same piece of land.
Well,
Yeah,
it's a bit controversial even talking with some of the people. So I was down in Argentina and, talking with people down there, talking about the whole idea of America. There is this stigma to being American, where if you say you're American, generally I think you're from the United States and it's a huge identity. But, America is North America and South America. So that includes Mexico, Canada,
damn fucking Mexican Americans.
everything in Central America. Even people think Mexico's Central America, but it's actually still North America.
Yeah.
And then you go past Panama and then you're into South America. But, if you say you're American, that's usually the extremely patriotic people from the United States.
America.
Estados Unidos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I would like to backtrack just a second.
Let's backtrack a little bit here.
In your own words, who is Emery Scott?
Who's Emery Scott?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I avoid trying to define myself, or at least in the current chapters of my life, I try to go without description.
Yeah, or tell us a bit about yourself, what you do as a career.
Okay. Also, I wrote some stuff down too.
Yeah.
So, what are 3 things that you're passionate about in life at the moment?
Passionate about right now, something that's been pretty solid in the past 5-10 years has probably just been it sounds so vague, but lifestyle, but that kind of encompasses your overall health, how you're moving your body for exercise, what you're eating, and then even deeper of what's entering into your mind, because that's just as important, physical nutrition and spiritual nutrition. You got to keep yourself sharp and surround yourself. So
mewing.
Yeah, that goes in there as well. But yeah, the idea of body physiology and like you could bunch in like the psychology to that as well.
Health, wellness,
Okay.
fitness.
Yeah.
Would you count that as one? That's one thing, or three things? I feel like that's one thing.
I think
I'll put it
that's
as
one
one thing.
Yeah.
It's like your
Yeah.
being, you know.
There's a lot more
Yeah,
to
yeah.
Anne-Marie Scott.
Yeah, let's. Okay, so that's a solid one. I like that.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Probably the second one would be the idea of like I've been working in cafe restaurant settings for like almost 10 years, and
It's crazy it's been that long.
yeah, you know, I just kind of like got brought into it. I finished high school and then pretty much started working right away.
Used to roast coffee.
Yeah, that was a bit there as
Now
well
he
as a
roasts
chapter.
people.
Yeah.
You know, I try to keep it, just state the facts, let the facts, you know.
Emery's
speak for
just
themselves.
naturally roasted anything he comes into contact with.
But yeah, you know, like the idea of being able to create an environment for other people, because, you know, even something like this, like you're hosting me here, that's like kind of in the same realm. Or, you know, you're like in a massive restaurant setting or just in like a cozy cafe, but you're creating a space, and that really kind of facilitates creativity and memories. And a lot of that is, you know, something that can only really be possible with the people that are providing either like the service or like a product. So enjoying like spaces like that, you know, down the line, it would be cool to own a business, either a cafe or a restaurant, and, you know, being able to create that space for others.
Moving forward in the service industry.
Yeah, totally. And like,
Hospitality.
you can adapt it. I'm a bit of a critic as well. If you're going out to a space, you know, if you have something about the food that really strikes you as being good or as bad, and just the delivery, you know, you almost kind of gotta be a different person when you're in those environments, and then when you're not serving, you can be like a total savage and fucking shoot the shit.
Yeah.
It's like you drop
it's the
into a state.
duality of man.
Yeah.
Emery has a lot of things he wants to say when he's at work that he
Yeah.
can't say. So when he clocks out of the shift, he kind
Yeah,
of
you're
lets
different.
it rip.
You're a different person. Your whole vocabulary can change. Your overall like demeanor, how you dress, how you act, all of that.
So yeah,
Yeah.
I think coffee has become a pretty integral part of like who you are,
Yeah,
and like, you know, shaped who you become, you know, and like something you're passionate about and have a lot of knowledge and like
Yeah.
yeah.
But I like that though, like creating a space and the nuances that goes into the environment that facilitate the experience of the people
Yeah.
coming to that space. And like, how do you decide on one restaurant or cafe over another? A lot of it is the vibe, because at the end of the day, you probably are just serving, you know, like burgers or
totally.
like pasta, or like, what's really that different about one cup of coffee to another? And a lot of it is the experience of being
Yeah.
in the space. So that's very
That was
interesting.
one thing me and Emery would talk about a lot, though, or a decent amount when we worked at Zeta, about how there's so many different factors that go into a good dining experience. Like, because I was in the kitchen, he's in front of house, kind of like a similar situation that you and me are when me and Emery were working together. But like, for example, sometimes I would come in the morning and the front of house would forget to turn the music on. Where like you
Yeah.
walk into the cafe and it's just like dead silent, and it's weird because you can hear the bustling of like people talking and food, but I'm like, yo, like you need to have the ambiance, you know? Or even they'll be playing music, but it would be like, yo, what the fuck is this playlist? Like they'd be playing like Glorilla or some shit.
Yeah.
And it's in like
Yeah.
a like nice fucking West Van like cafe environment, and I would be like, yo, put on some like French jazz or some shit, like some
Yeah.
chill, like, or it doesn't even need to be that. Maybe they play some like
Yeah, any China jazz.
Tribe Called Quest or something like that. Like
Yeah,
a cool
it's
like
it's surprising
bit
to see
tasteful.
sometimes what
Yeah.
people will let just slide for like the music that
Yeah.
they're playing in environment.
like I'm a big fan of Sexy Red, but I don't know if you want to play Ski at the Azeta
Yeah,
at
you know.
7 a.m. and fucking
I think I would be a little jarred if I came in there and heard that.
yeah.
Like,
You can play that
It's
like
set
just
and
before you
setting.
open the doors to get yourself in the zone.
yeah.
And then you put on that like lo-fi and act like you're just super chill.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're
they,
so
they don't have to know.
sophisticated.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess what I was like is like the different aspects of what go into the fucking experience of the guest
Yeah.
Yeah.
at a restaurant or cafe.
Everything.
You know,
Okay.
the food.
Yeah. So, okay, let's get to the third. Okay, what's the third thing that you're
The third
you're
thing,
passionate about right now?
you know, I think it's been,
Big booty Latina bit.
You stole the words right out of my mouth. You know, I think everyone kind of has something that they need to keep themselves focused.
Mm-hmm.
Motivated.
Yeah, you know, that's the
I want to hear.
That's the
I want to hear it
balance of
from
life.
your mouth, Emery.
you gotta get yourself a big booty Latina to keep yourself happy. You know,
Okay.
I think the affection of a woman, it really does complete the man. And
It does, bro. Brings out that sacred masculine.
Totally, you know?
You gotta have that like
Yeah.
bonding of the energies.
Like
I can get behind that.
you thug it out in life enough, especially being like a man, you know, you got to work hard, and then if you can find someone that you can really care for and provide for,
Then you
and
fuck
she got
hard.
a fucking fat ass, yeah, man. That's the reward.
Dude, Emery.
Okay, that's a good thing to be passionate about.
Dude, so the first night I saw Emery when he got back from Argentina, I'd like to give a bit of context. So he just got back from a 1-month trip down
Yeah.
there. And yeah, so the first time I saw him since you got back, you're sitting on the couch and you look kind of like stressed, like unwell. And I couldn't tell if you were sad or something. You're just sitting there. And I wanted to ask, like, if you're okay.
Yeah.
Like, and then you just turned to me. You're like, yo, I just miss eating steak every day and fucking every day. And I'm like, oh, Emery's going through withdrawals.
Dude,
He's
100%.
not sad. He's just like sitting there like, fuck. Like,
Dude, it
I
was
miss
like
eating
coming off
steak
of,
and
like-
fucking like.
It's like a serious like fentanyl addiction.
Dude,
like,
it was so hilarious though when you just turned to me and said that. I'm like, oh, Emery's not sad. He's
but,
fucking.
you know, that's kind of like that's the rebound or the like reverse culture shock of coming back to Canada. Yeah, because being there, it was full vacation mode. All I was doing was just eating, drinking, and like hanging out with this chick that I met down there. And it was all fun, but I think in some ways I really did want to come back and like work hard, but you know, it was like super far away.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. Okay, so let's get into that as well. So, what inspired this trip to Argentina recently?
So I haven't done too much traveling in my life, other than like going on vacation with family, and usually it was always organized by like my parents, and we'd go to like resorts, really just removed from the overall culture of wherever we were traveling, whether it was Mexico or Hawaii, like kind of the general white people vacation
typical, dude.
places.
It's stereotypical white person
Yeah.
vacation.
Yeah,
Even like
yeah.
Hawaii, Mexico,
yeah, like I was
At a resort.
at a resort.
I was in Hawaii in 2023, and yeah, just like resort life. Most people there were just like rich white people, and like
Disgusting.
it's no
Sickening.
hate. I'm just saying that
No,
like
we
if
hate
you're
them.
going to if you're going to another country and you're just surrounded by like what you already have back home. I mean, it's pretty diverse here in like Canada, but like
It's probably less
You're
diverse
like, oh,
there
this
than
is
here.
just
Yeah.
McDonald's with palm trees
Yeah.
and a warmer.
dude,
nice sunset.
even the fucking like Hawaiians there weren't Hawaiians. They were Filipinos that were just impersonating Hawaiians. Like,
They're getting paid by the hour to pretend to be fucking Hawaiian.
that's how fucking stupid it is.
It's
Like,
the Wish,
that's
the Wish
hilarious.
brand
Yeah.
fucking Hawaiians.
exactly. It's not even like, oh yeah, I got the real Hawaiian experience. It's like, no, you didn't. Those people in
They're
tiki
Filipinos.
outfits, yeah, they're
No,
just Filipinos.
Like these
Well,
stupid
there's
white
just-
people won't
there's
even
just
tell
a-
the difference.
Isn't there just a Filipino community in Hawaii?
It's
Because I've
huge,
never,
yeah.
I've never been to Hawaii.
Yeah.
So,
But like
like-
if you're going to Hawaii and you're like, oh, I got the Hawaiian experience, it's like, did you get the Hawaiian experience or did you get like the white man's created Hawaiian experience?
I think that's just part of living in 2024, though.
Yeah.
Like if you go to Thailand, it's a lot of fucking white people in Thailand.
Yeah.
You know.
But there's definitely a distinction between like the tourist experience and then like you manage to get in with like a local and they really show you what the place is like.
you got to be in the actual cities that are surrounded by the locals.
You gotta
yeah.
go to the beach.
Like you got to feel a little
contract
unsafe.
syphilis.
You gotta
Yeah.
you gotta feel a little unsafe.
You gotta like people always say, oh, the culture shock was so bad, but I think that's like a necessary experience to really like
Yeah.
break yourself out of your comfort zone when traveling.
Yeah, you have to feel like you walk down the wrong block and you're about to get robbed. And
Yeah.
if you don't
Dude,
feel
that's
that,
the
Or
most
some dude's
exciting
yelling
part.
at you in
Yeah.
a language and you're just like, I have no idea what this dude's
Like,
saying to me.
sorry,
But like, you
sorry.
know, so I ended up traveling to South America because my brother, he wanted to travel there and he'd been doing a lot of traveling over the past few years. and it was his birthday coming up. So
And
we
there's
coordinated
4
this.
of you, right?
Yeah, there's me, and then I have 3 other brothers. My eldest didn't end up coming because he was already planning to go on a trip with my dad somewhere else.
It's the
But
E brothers.
yeah,
Yeah, I actually, yeah, I wanted to bring that up as well.
yeah. So I got Ethan, my younger brother, and then my older brother Elliot. His birthday was the one that wanted to go on this travel, and my eldest brother's Eric, and then I'm Emery.
Love it. Love it.
E
Yeah,
E gang.
yeah.
E-gang.
E-boys. That's what my dad says.
E-boys.
And it was Elliot's 30th birthday.
Yeah, he
So it
turned
was
30,
30.
on the 30th of January, and
It's like, we got to do Argentina trip.
yeah, 100%. So we ended up scheduling this like way back in the summer of last year, and yeah, it's crazy that it's already come and went. And we were wanting to go for like a long period of time, and I didn't know if I was going to be able to get the time off of work, so I just pulled the trigger and we booked like a month. It was easier to get a good rate staying there for a month than it would be for like 2 weeks. And already the travel down to South America, you're flying for like an entire day, so it's a write-off.
A month is a long time, but at the
But
same
2
time,
weeks
it's
is not enough time.
Well,
Yeah.
no, I was gonna say a month. Like it's long, but it's not that long.
No.
Like a month goes by quick.
Especially if
You
you're
know?
wanting to explore and like travel to like
Yeah,
the
explore
country.
a new country, a new city. Like, dude, a month is not a lot of time.
And we
Yeah.
stayed mostly just like in the city of Buenos Aires. And even that, we stayed mostly just in the neighborhood of Palermo when we were in Buenos Aires. And there's so much to explore. And like immediately once we landed, the vibes were just like amazing. It was
Yeah.
already like
What was
summer
your
there.
first impressions? Like the first few hours that you were there, you get off the plane. What was their first like feelings and impressions?
Well, like we got off the plane and then we ended up booking a cab. And then as we're driving into the city, you could tell that the rural parts of Argentina, like it does feel like a bit slum like the money is like they're definitely a country that developed really quickly and have fallen back into poverty. And you can see that in certain areas. But then once we had gotten into the main part of the city, I could see the architecture that had been, built into that place, and just seeing the life of the city. Like there's so much nature built around or grown around all of the architecture. So it was just this crazy combination of feeling like you're out in nature, but also you're in this like place of rich history.
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
It's kind of something symbolic in a weird way, like the synergy of like modern civilization and nature.
Yeah.
That's one thing that Vancouver does really well, is how we have like our streets are lined with trees, where not all cities are like that,
Mhm.
Like it's nice seeing that, like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, when I was in Mexico, I know obviously it's probably different. I mean, it is different than Argentina in many ways, but just in the tropical kind of climate,
Yeah.
to have like the nature so rich within the city, it's definitely a unique
Yeah.
thing.
And just combined with the architecture, because if you look at what's built in Argentina, it has a huge like European influence, and then culturally they have a huge Italian influence from when they were first occupied.
Oh, I didn't know they had an Italian influence there.
Yeah,
So, so was it not the Spaniards that came in there? Because they speak Spanish there.
they speak Spanish there.
But so was it Spanish who colonized them first, or
I'm pretty sure it was the Spanish that colonized them. They even said, some of the locals were like, I don't like to say colonized. They just say like we were occupied, because they were like
Right, they're like-
colonized. Sounds like we lost.
you know what? Though
Well, it's probably because they're Spanish and they're like,
No, but you know what? It's actually a good point, because I mean, it's unfortunate, obviously, but I feel like North American indigenous people were colonized.
Yeah. Oh,
Versus
100%.
like Latino people, I
Yeah.
think they do retain a lot more of their culture
Yeah.
and like identity
That's
as a
what's
whole.
hard to say. Like, how far back do you want to go? Like, yeah, definitely the First Nations there, they have not as much of a voice there compared to, I'd even say here in, Vancouver. But even here,
Right.
they still struggle with having their voices recognized. It's just,
But there's less of them
it
here.
goes
It seems
way
like.
farther back. Like they first started occupying that place way back in like the 1800s.
Yeah.
Even before, like late 1700s, and then development really started to kick up into the 1800s.
I feel
then-
like we're probably not as educated on the history of Argentina too.
Yeah,
Because
but-
like we
but there's,
we
like,
studied
Mayans
Canadian we studied Canadian history and about like what happened to Aboriginal people throughout like the 18th and 19th century. I can't tell you a single thing that happened in
Yeah.
Argentina's history. In
But I know
time,
that there
you
was a
know?
lot of like
I know I have like an
migrants.
overarching idea, but it's kind of like
I mean, yeah, I only know very like superficial stuff, like there was like Mayans and Aztecs and stuff like that.
the Spanish flu or whatever. The fuck
Yeah, and like I know that, but like the Mayan Empire, for example, I know like they were a big, powerful empire,
yeah.
and like because so like there was still like obviously its own kind of cultures
Well, I heard
within
what
that region,
happened-
but then these like Mayan and Aztec, these larger empires started like
I don't know
just
if
taking over.
I don't know if you know about this story. So, what was in the 1700s? I can't remember the name of this explorer, but he came over and he reported these stories. He was one of the first explorers to go to South America from Europe. But he reported on these stories of like huge cities with thousands and thousands of people and advanced roadways and all this shit.
Yeah, they had that shit.
But then they came back a couple decades later and there was nothing there. And they're like, "Oh, this guy was lying." They thought for like decades or even like a century, this guy just made it all up. But only now they're going into the Amazon with all these like lasers and radars and shit. I don't know if you've seen about how they're uncovering these ancient cities in the Amazon.
I've seen that. Yeah,
No, but they realize this guy, when he went there and made first contact with these tribes, he brought over disease, and it killed like millions of people. So when they came back later, like all these people were like, and it was just all overgrown with trees, because it doesn't take long for shit to get overgrown in the
especially in the
Amazon.
hot jungle. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've heard, I might have butchered it a bit, but I think I got it pretty.
I've kind of heard that too.
Yeah,
and I
I've
mean,
got it pretty.
I think that's what's interesting about like Latin America is they did have, I mean, not to say that the other indigenous cultures didn't have their own form of advanced culture that wasn't, but it wasn't similar. Like they didn't have like big cities, like
I don't think they had stonework in North America.
yeah. Versus like in Latin America, I know they
the
had like
stonework started way long ago.
yeah, like even like they had like I went to Chichen Itza and like just to look at like they had like a actual observatory where they marked down all the different information of the turning of the year and all this shit.
Yeah.
And yeah, like giant city. Like it was actually like a massive city for the time. And it's crazy to think how advanced they were culturally actually. Like they were very brutal. Like they weren't like peace and love. Like they were fucking vicious
Sacrificing motherfuckers.
They were cutting people's hearts out and shit. I think that was the Aztecs, but
they're probably working. They're onto something if they're that advanced.
hey, man, I mean, you can say maybe that's why the Illuminati are doing it to this day. They are onto something.
Yeah, that's a whole nother podcast.
That's another podcast. Okay, okay. So that's an interesting point there. Oh, I was gonna say something. Right about the poverty, because you said when you landed, you said that you could
Yeah.
tell it was like very quickly developed, and certain parts seemed a little.
You probably had to drive past some. They call it the barrios, right? Like it's like the slums.
the barrio.
Yeah.
Barrios.
Like you can see the
Barrios.
buildings were like almost half broken apart.
Yeah.
You know, who knows what
No
happened, but
electricity.
there's no chance of people being able to develop it. They had electricity, but you know, probably their access to clean water or other resources, it's, you know,
Limited.
totally. So most people would try to move into the city if they wanted to be seeking something.
Dude, that's always a culture shock. Like, even if you've seen it before, like,
Yeah.
no matter how many times you experience it, like, I've been to Mexico, I've been to Vietnam, I've seen some crazy slums in my life, even in the States or whatever. But every time you go back, it's like
Yeah.
the first time again, kind of, because we're in this, like,
You're like, damn, they're really living in a corrugated house.
because you take it for granted, like living in Vancouver, getting picked up in a Tesla, spending $10 on a coffee, everyone's got hipster fucking clothing and shit, and you go to another country, and especially like Emery said, driving in to the tourist area, a lot of the time you're gonna drive past some shit,
Yeah.
and you're just like, oh,
There's
like,
a lot of people that
there's
will
a-
do that. They'll actually bus in from these outer areas of the city and then go and work in the hipster town and make like, you know, minimum wage there, which is crazy cheap
And then
compared to like, or they just get paid a fraction of what you could get paid here doing like similar work, and then they go back to their home.
Yeah.
It's like a 2-3 hour commute just to go and work a cafe job for a few hours.
But
It really
then,
gives
but then
you-
they don't even have anywhere to work anyways in the barrio.
No,
Yeah.
no, dude, it really
There's
gives
no
you a
work.
perspective on all the opportunities people take for granted in
Yeah.
North America.
And that
You know?
wasn't the case, like, probably like around the 2000s is when their economy really started to plummet, because it was
Really?
comparable to, like the North American dollar and like
They
the
were one
euro.
of the more prosperous countries
Yeah,
in South America.
They've just gone through hyperinflation
Dude,
over
right
the
now-
past 20 years.
They have the worst inflation in the world right now. Because
Yeah.
my coworker told me that when I was mentioning about your trip. He was like, Argentina has worse inflation than Venezuela. And I'm like, no way.
Really?
So Venezuela, their inflation has been going on for longer. So like, I think overall the country's in a worse state. Like no tourism and shit, just like a lot from what I understand. But in Argentina, their actual annual inflation rate this year or last year was higher. I think they were at 211% annual inflation, and Venezuela was like 206.
Yeah. I mean, I know a guy from Argentina as well, and I think his whole family left Argentina to live in Canada.
Yeah.
And I think they weren't even, I think they were like decently well off.
Yeah.
But it's like in a place like that, if you're not super well off, then you're going to feel the effects of the poverty still, I think.
Oh, yeah,
Where like
dude.
you're not living in the most gated community possible. And then shit just happens, Like I have an aunt who lived in Venezuela like since like the early 2000s, even before then, moved there from El Salvador.
Yeah.
And like even at that point in time when it wasn't as bad as it is now, but she got robbed at gunpoint right outside of her gated community with her son in the car, and they like robbed the car and with my cousin in the car and like drove off, and like he's fine, and like she got him back. But just the shit can get tense in those places. So as nice as it is, and it's beautiful and the culture's rich,
People
there's
are
a reason
desperate.
why people want to leave.
Dude, you think about it, man. Like, dude, if you're starving and you have no options, like, dude, you'll
do some
what you're
crazy
prepared
things.
to do. Like, dude, if either any of us, like, if you were in that situation, dude, you'd probably rob somebody or all of the above. If it was really like, or if you had
If it was
a
life or
kids
death.
or a family,
Yeah.
like a mother or grandmother who is depending on you, like,
Yeah, and
you can only understand why people reach such desperate measures.
I was talking to Wema, and he was talking to me about how I think it was like back in Kenya or I think it was Kenya or Tanzania. But anyways, there was like this family, I think it's his like relatives, and the kids would get driven back and forth from school to home by like a chauffeur. And one time on the way back home, they took a shortcut through this like more rural area, and then they got stopped, and some guy with a gun got in the car, and he's like, they got hijacked. And then like they're driving for a bit, and then the driver, like the chauffeur guy, he's like, come on, like we have the kids in the car, can we please like just like let the kids go type shit.
Yeah.
And the guy ended up being cool about it, and he like apparently, gun in hand, he turned to the kids and he's like, hey man, you guys better stay in school because you don't want to end up like me.
Yeah.
So I think even
There's
within
that
this
humanity,
there's the
yeah.
humanity in it all.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah.
They're only doing it because they have to. I don't think if that guy had options, I don't think he would.
There
be
was
doing
even
that.
this one
They
moment.
like opportunities.
My brother, he had a run-in with someone trying to pickpocket him, and he literally stared this guy in the eye as he just like took my brother's like photo. He had like a camera, just a film camera in his pocket, and he just took it out, and he just stared at this guy, and the guy was looking at the camera, was evaluating if it was valuable or not. My brother was just staring at him. He's just like, what the fuck? And the dude looks at him, just like shrugs and just gives him back the camera and then walks away.
Yeah.
If he had pulled out like an iPhone or like some Android,
he would have dipped.
he would have dipped because he'd be like, okay, I see if this is something valuable. I can turn it over for some money.
Yeah.
And he just like looked at me. He's just like, oh, my bad, man.
I think I've heard
Saw
Buenos
we.
Aires
Yeah.
is Buenos
Like, I'm not going to run.
I've heard it's a hot spot for pickpocket.
Yeah, even when we were there, that was the most like common petty crime, was just theft of people's phones. We were even dining at this place just down the street from where we were staying, and it's like the posh neighborhood. And this dude was walking with his phone in the street, a motorcycle comes by, there's two people on it, one person's driving, the other person's going to snatch the phone, and he gets his phone snatched, and then they're gone in like
So you
less than
saw
a
that
minute.
happen?
Yeah, it happened multiple
Dude,
times.
I told you. I told you before you left that shit happened.
Yeah, but you
That's
just
the
gotta
place
be
to snatch
aware.
phones.
You know, like if you have your phone out, keep it close. Don't be walking around like a fool.
Dude, people
know.
do dumb
you
shit.
can't
They
even
just leave it
resell
on
an
the fucking
iPhone.
table on the fucking
Yeah,
side.
or on the table.
I don't even do that
sidewalk.
here.
Yeah.
You
Or
just
if
gotta
I
be
do,
aware of your
I'll be like,
surroundings.
you at least got to be like aware of your surroundings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yo, one thing I never do, and I see it, I used to do it, but I see people do it and it drives me crazy. Crossing the street while you're looking at your phone.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
one thing if you're walking down the sidewalk, like, sure, fucking whatever. It'd be a degenerate scroll through whatever you're scrolling through walking down the street. But if you're literally going to, like, walk through traffic.
It gets
staring-
even worse.
Like,
People
I
are
make
on
sure
autopilot.
consciously effort to put my phone down, cross the fucking street, and then I'll pick it up again.
Yeah.
But that's just so fucking stupid.
Yeah.
Like, people are just very unaware. They're walking targets in the places like Vancouver. Like,
Yeah.
people are so... Okay, this is a little off topic, but I want to touch on this because I was thinking the other day. People are fucking prey. No,
Yeah.
seriously. Like the other day I was walking and it was 1 a.m. and there's like some like, you know,
Fucking
I'm like, there
walking
could be
jackpot.
sketchy people out and around. And I had this moment where I realized I'm like, yo, I'm kind of walking like prey right now. Like, you're just kind of like strolling. It's 1 a.m. I'm like, you know, anyone sees me, they're like, oh, this guy's just chilling, vibing. Like, you need to walk like you are the hunter. Like,
Did you
at
have
1
both
in
your
the morning,
headphones
if
in?
you're in like a dangerous environment, I made sure to take my headphones out, I think.
Did you have
like,
one in?
Yeah, because I'm like, I need to be able to hear.
I
Like,
only use one.
yeah,
because
because I'm like, because
Or
dude,
even
if you
hearing a
have
car
both
or
in,
something.
you're fucking prey, dude. If you're walking late at night with both headphones in.
Or like with an actual, not even earbuds, like a full set of headphones on. I'm like, you're nuts.
Yeah. Like, and I'm all for listening to music, but at the same time, like, don't do it at the expense of your fucking...
You know, for
Yeah.
the most part, when I was
Security.
walking around, and even in this city, I don't feel all that afraid because I intentionally try to walk tall. And
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
pretty
dude.
tall
I
guy.
This
don't
is my
feel...
city.
Yeah.
But you need to, at the same time, be conscious of that. Like, you're walking in a
Totally.
way where you're not prey, because you walk
Yeah.
around like you're not prey.
You walk, hard mew, and just fucking sway your shoulders. And then if you see some sketchy motherfucker, you just like fucking... You gotta lock in and give them that look.
This is fucked up, because I know we're
But
touching...
you don't stare. You know, you give a glance and then you look back and just like, oh, this motherfucker, he's got a place to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, sometimes I'll be walking at night and I'll see some sketchy motherfucker. I'm like, dude, I dare you. Let's fucking...
Try me.
Dude, do it. Because I feel like they
Yeah.
could sense that. They're like, okay, not this guy. Like,
Yeah.
he's too ready to go. Damn fucking dishwashers. Okay. So, okay. Wait,
Okay.
wait can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Because you've been going the last few questions. What is your biggest motivation for moving to Argentina? And what is like,
Oh,
I guess the differences between like life in Vancouver, life in Argentina, where you're at in your life right now, your goals and aspirations, and yeah.
Well,
this kind of...
you know, with everything that I was saying before, you know, mostly stacking up probably the first one and the last one. I'm not focusing as much on service and working.
What's
It's
the
mostly
first
just
one again?
dialing into the lifestyle.
life, yeah.
But you know, you could even like,
And the last one. What's the
yeah,
last one?
fucking big booty Latinas.
Okay. That's what I like to hear.
And I want to get my health in check. I feel like I'm already a
There's
pretty
one-
healthy guy, but I
There's
want to
one
like,
big booty Latina in particular.
yeah,
That-
you know,
that-
even just it's nice to have like pleasant feminine energy around you,
It's
and the
nice
women
to
down
go on
there
dates.
are very delightful.
Oh.
But, you know, I got a girl down there. I'm not going to be messing around. If
Oh, you guys are
things stay
official.
Solid. Yeah, you know, we're trying to keep it, you know,
Long distance. Wow.
Because I'll be back. And even when I was like here in the city, I was mostly just focusing on my work. I'm not actively trying to like seek out partnership. But when I was on vacation there, I was like, you know, might as well download Tinder and, you know, hit it off. And then I was like, you know, I'll be coming back in the near future. Even when we were there, we were talking about potentially starting a business down there. We were comparing it kind of like back in the 80s in North America when there was a recession and people were like developing again. And, you know, things totally blew up in the 80s in Canada and the United States. And we were comparing it to Argentina with how it's a volatile state with the economy. But they need development, and
If
takes-
things did turn
takes,
around,
you know-
that would be the
yeah.
like, you know, it takes a risk to go and invest.
So
in
I
a
still have
business,
that
but-
in the background. I'm gonna go around, talk with people. You know, I've been working in coffee, so I'm thinking about traveling to other neighboring countries, getting some connections with farms, and looking into the logistics of business in the country, because you could open up a business and really dial in that kind of service aspect, because they're full service forward there. And then I just have to figure out how to make the numbers add up where it'd be worthwhile and profitable.
What do you mean they're service forward?
Like when you come here, it really does seem like people have become quite complacent with
with service.
just serving customers. Like
entitled.
tip culture, turnover on tables, just everything feels very contrived. Like even I'm guilty for this. You're putting on a bit of an act, like I was saying, but there it seemed a lot more genuine. And even the places that you go to, like, you know, you get sat down, they bring you some bread, they're checking up on you, but it's not kind of like, how's the first bite doing, guys? It's like they're actually kind of caring about like your experience. And if you jive with the server, they'll like sit down with you and even like chill. There's this place down
They're
the
just like,
street.
can I have some of that?
Yeah.
More like an authentic interaction.
Yeah, we ended
Just
up
like
getting
reach
to
over,
know.
take a bite of your food.
We got to know some of the locals there, who worked down the street from where we were. This is like the posh restaurant, and you know, we were in the tourist capital, so prices were expensive. So I thought everyone was just kind of hoity-toity. They're wearing like classic French style waiter, white button-up, black tie. But once we got to know them, they're just like a bunch of chillers. Like after they finish work goes late there, so you're getting off work at like 3 a.m. at a restaurant.
Really?
And then they'll just go to the corner, literally across the street from their work, and just sip out of a bottle and like smoke doobies and just like chill until, you know, 4 or 5 in the morning. And they're just like, you know, they're just living life. They would like pass us a doobie close to the end of our meal because like we got to be like good rapport with them. And yeah,
What was the attitude towards weed down there like?
it was pretty casual. Like,
Yeah?
you know,
like it wasn't like super like
yeah.
like you didn't have to worry too much about getting.
No, I mean, you know, they're not in the same area where substances are like decriminalized the same, but it seems like it's pretty casual with most people. Like they'd be smoking. You just have to be not super obnoxious about it during daylight, but at night, I don't think they have farly as many people patrolling the streets.
You weren't particularly worried about it.
Yeah, like during daylight,
Yeah.
there's a lot of police patrolling around, but at night, like you can publicly drink,
Yeah.
and if you smoke, like it's totally fine.
I find the attitude towards weed in a lot of countries seems to be a little more relaxed.
Yeah.
Not quite like here.
But it still is taboo.
But,
Like if you talk with the older generations, any kind of substance use is frowned upon.
Yeah.
But
That
the
is
weed down
kinda-
there, it's not as good as here. Like you
No,
I
you're
don't think you have
spoiled
as much
here.
of an identity with smoking weed there as like compared to in Canada. People have like its whole communities based around
Yeah, you
it.
build your whole personality around it.
Yeah. And I smoked a little bit, but for the most part, I was just enjoying drinking and
Yeah, I think
know,
we
not
should
trying to
bring
actively-
open drinking here. Like, I think we should be able to walk around
Well,
and drink here.
didn't they?
they've done it for parks.
Yeah, there was a pilot project
Yeah.
where certain parks. It wasn't even.
but they were
Kids
designated
Beach.
areas.
It's like a designated area, which is good. I like the direction it's going in.
But
But
even-
don't treat us like kids.
The attitude has
Yeah.
shifted though, because I don't know if you remember 10 years ago, like drinking at the beach, there was the ATVs rolling up and they were chasing people and stealing all
So stupid.
Yeah,
Yeah.
now they don't really do that anymore. Like they'll
yeah.
go around and they'll be like, "Hey, pour this out." Like they
Yeah.
don't go like handcuffing people, and even then, still they kind of like walk slowly down the beach,
Just
so
so you
people
see
have
them coming.
time to put their shit away.
And that's why it's good that it's legal now. Like Kids Beach, I think English Bay.
Is Kids Beach?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
I think the
makes sense,
problem
'cause
is
people
though
are drinking anyway.
they've
Yeah, like-
done a lot
Yeah.
of tests with this. It was last year, I remember, where they had the beaches being able to be public drinking areas, and like the first like fireworks ceremony, the beach that they let it open up at was just covered in trash.
The
Like,
litter is terrible. I don't know if you've seen.
it's always the like
videos or-
people that
Yeah.
are traveling here.
But you know what? I'll say, bro.
Find them for that then.
No, but those aren't people from Vancouver.
They should beat them. They should like do police brutality on them.
Give them.
Yeah, it's hard to
lashes or
say. I
something.
mean,
No,
that would
just
be
like
some-
baton them. Just
No,
start
but
like
I feel
you
like
see someone
the
walking
vast
away from their trash, and you just
'cause
start.
So many people come to Vancouver for the summer, just to stay here for the summer.
Yeah,
Like, there's a huge influx of like students or tourists or whatever. And I think a lot of it, because, you know, people who grow up in Canada or Vancouver, you kind of have like a different appreciation for nature and the environment.
true.
Like, it's kind of always like, I don't know about you, but like throughout life, like people kind of shunned people who littered. Like, if you're hanging out with someone and they just threw some shit on the ground,
It's kinda
everyone's
like,
kind
dude,
of
what are
like,
you
yo, bro,
doing?
like, just throw that in the fucking garbage.
yeah,
and
just
shit.
what the fuck are
Yeah.
you doing?
Like, people like the fact that Vancouver is nice. you
Yeah.
know? And so, yeah, like when you go to the beach and you see like this crazy litter everywhere,
Disgusting.
like I think a lot of it are people who didn't grow up here. You know?
Yeah.
Also, even the people that are drinking here, if you look at what people are drinking out of public, they got like White Claws and Nudes and just like fucking bottles of vodka.
Oh my God.
And even like beer on the streets. I don't know. I think it's a lot more tacky compared to like even drinking out of a bottle can be seen as kind of tacky, but just the liquor that they were drinking down there, it felt like, I don't know, a lot more intentional.
Like a nice IPA.
Yeah.
More tasteful.
And people weren't just drinking to get drunk. They were drinking to enjoy other people's company.
Yo,
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question?
And then there's a whole conversation around third spaces, which maybe we can have another time. But
Okay.
So this is weird, and I've talked about this before. Maybe I'm tripping. I found when I was in Mexico, I could drink more beer, and I would get less drunk. And I've talked to other people about that, and they agreed with me. I don't know if it's an equator thing or if the beer they're drinking, because it's a different brand, but I found like, I don't know if it's because we're in the Pacific Northwest. Like when I drink, like I feel it more, but when I'm in Mexico, I can drink so much.
I think their beer is lighter.
And I don't really get hungover, but it's not even like a lighter thing. It's like
I think it's the social aspect.
something about
If you're
the
drinking
social-
and you're enjoying people's company, you're going to be keeping your brain preoccupied and you're
maybe
going to be
because
able
the
to
drinking isn't the highlight of the experience.
Yeah,
I think here
exactly.
it's like people are drinking so they can have fun, but there are people are just having fun and
Yeah.
drinking, but the drinking
There's
comes secondary.
drinking to enhance your company, and then there's drinking to just tolerate your company.
Yeah.
And that seems like most of the people
that
here.
might be what it is.
Yeah.
Like
'Cause
even
it's
I went to a
it's
house
different.
party recently, and most people were just fucking slamming back shots of vodka, drinking a bunch of cheap beers, and doing lines of blow.
Yeah, it's like
and everyone's
everyone-
like,
it's like-
"Oh, it's good to see you. Haven't seen you in a while. You want to do a bump?" It's like, what the fuck, like.
It's like
like,
they
let's
can't
hang out.
interact.
Are we here to
with
party,
people.
or are we just here to like race to the bottom?
Dude, that's such a good point.
So I haven't enjoyed nightlife here at all, and going there, their nightlife just seems way more laid back, and it goes late as well. Their dinner hour, the early dinner hour, usually starts around 10 o'clock, 11, and then the
Really?
party starts at like 2, 3 in the morning,
My people.
and you'd be seen as going home early if you're leaving at like 2 or 3 in the morning. Usually
like
the
that.
after party will
Yeah.
start at sunrise.
Dude, I'm a night owl, man.
That's wild though. Like, what are the hangovers like after that though?
We acclimated, but I think I wasn't keeping up with a lot of the other things like eating enough and taking care of myself on that level. So it caught up after about 2 weeks. And my brother and his buddies, they were smoking a lot more cigarettes than I was, so it'll catch up with you.
Yeah. So and then I think that's like the flip side of it, where it's like it is nice, but at the same time you got to be careful and kind of pace yourself.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, you go into an after party at 6 a.m. How many times can you do that in a row
Yeah.
before you stop going to the gym, you start not eating healthy because you're so tired. And
Yeah.
I mean, they've done studies where like if you don't get enough sleep, you're much more likely to eat an unhealthy food.
Yeah.
For example.
Like,
and then
they
obviously
were
the
starting
mental
their
health stuff
breakfast
too.
as like espresso and a cigarette, and then that would
That's
be
all you need.
holding you over. Or you get like a small pastry. A lot of the locals there, they would usually eat pretty small breakfasts, but for me, I eat a lot, so it was hard to keep up what I was eating back home, especially with the people that I was around. So I actively had to try and find food. And then after a couple of weeks being there, I changed out like having less to drink and just, literally fucking more.
Yeah. That's
I was-
healthier
and,
anyways.
and immediately I was like, yo, I feel fulfilled.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
The liquor can only fill in so much of the void.
exactly. You have to fill other voids.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So I'm going back for that. I want to have a clean lifestyle. Gyms are cheap. Steak is really cheap there. The steak in Argentina was the best that I've had in
That's
my
like the
entire
perfect
life.
country.
Really? Is
for
it
you-
good quality?
Dude,
Yeah.
Argentina is like one of the largest, or it might be the largest consumer in the world of steak. and
Really?
beef. Yeah, they
Yeah.
have like super high quality organic beef. Like,
Well, they
you
produce
tell-
a lot
you
of
tell-
beef. I'm
So
pretty
good
sure.
luck being
I'm pretty
vegan
sure
there.
Asia, it's China that consumes the most beef, but Argentina produces more beef than anywhere else in the world.
Yeah.
So no vegan lifestyle there.
Yeah, there is some vegan lifestyle. Yeah, the girl that I'm seeing down there, she was saying that it's kind of like cultist down there. They kind of had things like that here, and you still see those people. They'll be wearing like anonymous masks, and they'll have TVs strapped to their stomach with like slaughterhouses and shit. And it's just so, it's like aimless propaganda. But then you like really get to know those people, and they just seem so like angry.
I mean,
are so
I
angry.
get it. I get it.
You know, if I had a fourth thing that I was like passionate about, I would
Hating
probably
vegans.
put like anti-veganism in there.
Oh no.
Like I want to be, honestly, I have love for everyone, but
Except for the vegans.
for vegans, I just feel sad for them. I feel like they're so misguided,
They're malnourished.
and
I think there's a truth to
They've been fed misinformation.
not having cruelty around
Totally.
animals, though.
and you just find like, well,
Hey, Torrin's an ex-vegan.
yeah. I mean, there's totally difference to
So am I, though.
industrializing like meat production and then understanding like a symbiotic relationship. Animals are being born and they're dying, and
Yeah.
when an animal sees another animal die, generally they see that as food.
Or if it's their friend, then they're sad.
There's a lot of cannibalism
Hey,
out
they
of
could
nature as
feel
well,
conflicted.
Yeah,
too.
not among cows.
though. Yeah, not among the cows, but still, you know, like
Yo, dude,
nature
if
has
you-
no
If
biases.
you locked a cow in a room with meat and no food, it'd probably eat it.
I don't think so.
I think it would.
I don't think so.
I think if you died at home with your cat would eat you within less than
Yeah, I
a
mean, the
week.
cat's like a little
your
tiger.
dog wouldn't eat you. And
No,
there's like
apparently your
different
dog
levels
will,
of,
but it'll take longer. Your
Yeah.
cat will eat you in the first like 12 hours. The dog, it'll take like 7 or 8
I think
days.
depending on the dog.
Yeah,
I think
apparently
some dogs
golden
would just
retrievers
like
will
Golden
die.
retrievers won't.
they probably would just die by your side.
Yeah.
Golden retrievers won't, but it depends on the.
That's why you say you're my dog. You don't say you're my cat.
Yeah. And then, you know, like on another level, there's a lot of like hunter gatherer, like this going back to ancient, you know, civilizations. There always was that aspect of providing for your like your tribe.
They were hunter gatherers, man. Like
Yeah.
I feel like I've always felt like as a man, like I felt like I've had like the hunter, like warrior spirit. Like whether that's come down from like, you know, past generations. But I feel like all of us, like if in the right environment, like we would just be hunters.
I always
That's what
feel
we
like
would
that,
do.
especially when I go to the grocery store and like I get like 4 steaks and I
Yeah.
put them in my cart and I'm like, yeah, I got this.
Yeah. It's a good catch. It got
Good
that
catch
30%
today.
off.
Yeah, I got like 4 30% off steaks. What a good catch.
The tribe, we will eat good.
Yeah, we will eat good. Like fire up the grill. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, gotta stop at Canadian Tire to get some propane.
And you know, like a lot of people, they just see
gathering
meat,
supplies.
meat is all the
Yeah,
same.
we're gathering the
Tribe.
supplies.
If you're buying something from like a caged animal, or you went out and you hunted it yourself and you broke down the animal to its absolute limits and made as much use out of it, they'd put that in the same boat if they are vegan.
I don't think so. I think if you talk to a lot of vegans, they can be
I
logical
think like
about it.
peak vegan propaganda, they see it like flatline.
But
But
they're silly. I think
Still-
most vegans.
they're
Veganism
subscribing
is
to
a
the
spectrum.
ideology, and then there's
Yeah.
just being the diet. You know, like you can do the diet, but then I think it
I
more
think-
goes into like the culture and the lifestyle of it.
Sure. And I mean, then there's the people who are like, any killing is bad. But then I think there's also ones who are mostly against the industrialization of
Yeah.
animal
And
products.
that's understandable.
And I think that's the most like logical argument. And I actually agree. The industrialization of other living beings is
Yeah.
fucked up.
And the pollution is really bad.
The
like
pollution
in
is
some
bad
of these
too.
like pig farms and stuff that are poorly mismanaged. Not all of them, but some of them are like really like just pumping shit out.
Yeah.
And you know, I've seen documentaries about pig farms that just like pour all their waste into like the rivers and the oceans, totally destroying the marine life that's in there and fucking up the habitat. That shit is terrible. You know, and I get it's like a challenge with such a large human population. Like, how do you feed these people?
That's the real question.
Yeah, it's a challenge.
It's still crazy seeing some of these areas where people are in poverty. They are still filled with so much joy. And then you come to North America and you see some like obese motherfucker and he's like, I have it so tough.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
we do.
So-
People take a lot for granted, you know, and
It doesn't make sense where we're at right now with, you know, global hunger and shit like that.
Gratitude is crucial to lead a happy life.
Yeah.
Without it, it's impossible.
So, you know, I'm grateful that I'm coming from, you know, a part of the world where I've been able to make enough money, and then I'm going to go there and just kind of indulge in the lifestyle and,
Yeah.
you know.
So, okay, in what way do you feel like you grew as a person as a result of the trip?
Probably realizing that there is more out in the world, and it only like confirmed the fact that I don't need to stay in Vancouver to have everything that I want, and I'm really wanting to immerse myself in another language so I can get to know people better and just learn and like interact. That was probably my biggest regret going there, is that I didn't have enough Spanish to really interact with the locals as best as possible.
Manzanas.
But you got to be able to say more than just like ordering food and, you know,
Quiero una cerveza.
where's
Por
the
favor.
bathroom and shit like that, you know.
Yeah. A goal for me, because I'm learning a bit of Spanish too, off and on.
Yeah.
I want to be able to like have real conversations with people in Spanish.
Totally.
Like, not just about like, hey, what is your name? It's like, you know, talk about the news or the fucking current events or someone's family and shit. Like, actually getting to know people in another language would be fucking
And you can
amazing.
really like bridge the gaps between, you know, yourself and others with just being able to have more fluent conversation. So yeah, I feel like I realized that there's still a lot more to learn.
Or to think in another language would be crazy.
Yeah.
Because do you ever think in German?
No.
Not really. You probably used to though, right? Or
Even when I'm reading in Spanish, I still read in English in my head. It's like a rough translation.
because I've heard
Yeah.
that's a big part to becoming like really fluent in a language.
I
is
can
to
think in German. Like, I can, if I'm reading something in German or speaking in German, I'll think it in German in that moment.
Yeah.
But then as soon as it's like I'm not reading or speaking it, I'll switch back to English to kind of gather my thoughts and then say it in German, if that makes sense.
I think that makes a lot of sense though, about how that would like, you know, really engage your brain to become more fluent in it. Is like, I actually try to, even though my Spanish is pretty like basic, like even at work, like I'll try to think in Spanish a bit, like just about something stupid, like, I don't know. I can't think of an example, but I'll like, or if I'll have a thought in English, I'll like relay it back in Spanish to try to be conscious of that.
You can have like a
Like,
conversation. in
¿Dónde
your head
está
with,
la
like,
cebolla?
Yeah, shit like that.
you have like a simple conversation in your head in a different language so you can just understand the nuance of
Do I talk to myself so much at work?
yeah.
I think people think I'm like schizophrenic or something like that.
And I think the crazy
That's fair.
ones are the people that don't talk to themselves.
Do I feel bad because sometimes I swear so much when I'm at work, and I'm like, I'll be like, fuck, I hope I'm not like looking crazy. But then I'll hear other, like my pastry chef, shout out Samantha. Last night, as we're closing up, I just hear her yell like, motherfucker. And I look at her, I'm like, yo, Samantha, you good? I'm like, yo, you sound like me right now. Just hear her yell like randomly.
I feel like that's normal, swearing to yourself.
It's good, man. It keeps you sane.
Okay. Do you have any last questions you want to ask Emery?
Fuck, I do have more questions. I should have written these down. How long are we at?
55 minutes, just
Dude,
about.
we still gotta hammer some shit out.
I gotta wrap it up soon.
You gotta wrap it up soon?
Yeah.
Okay, fuck. Probably not. I guess this has been a good episode. Emery's been a close friend of mine, since we were young.
Yeah.
And he's leaving back to Argentina for 4 months.
Yeah.
In May.
I have to go back.
Yeah. He's just going through these crazy
I
withdrawals.
have
of
other
this
things kind of
fucking-
loosely planned for this year, but I'm really just dead set on going back and being able to immerse myself more in what I enjoyed there and maybe plant some seeds for the future.
Dude, I hope that when you go down there, you'll make some happen. And I think it'd be sick if it became a place that you're spending some of your time in the future, you know?
Yeah.
Because, dude, I want to come visit you. That'd be sick if you came too and we went
Dude,
down
I'd
there.
love that. Yeah.
Do we? Hopefully, one day we'll
Yeah,
record
100%.
we'll record another episode with you in Buenos Aires, you know, and you can show us around, teach us about the culture.
Dude, I think, life is simple. Traveling, it teaches you that everyone kind of just wants the same thing. And, coming from Canada, I think people are a bit spoiled and they kind of lose sight of, what's really important in life. It's dope to have like nice designer clothing and fast cars and live in a mansion. But then if you scrape it back, just like, what's really there.
What do we really desire? We desire like love and connection with other people.
And big booty Latinas.
Yeah, exactly.
Even the big booty Latinas want more big booty Latinas around them. So.
Or they want bigger booties.
Or bigger booties.
Dude, that shit'll change
more
you, man.
voluptuous.
Like, yo, when Emery got back, like seeing Emery leaving and seeing the man that returned, I'm like, dude, what happened while you were gone? It's like, oh, you've just been eating steak, sitting in the sun, getting laid 3 times a day. I'm like, that shit'll change you.
Yeah.
And it really did. And I
For the
love to
better.
see it. I love to see
100%. Still got a long way to go. But, I got a clear path.
it. Yeah.
Well, love to hear it. I'm
Oh, yeah,
glad
we
we
got-
could do this. Any closing thoughts? I feel like that was pretty good.
Well, I was going to say, I know you guys are talking like music focused. If there's one thing that both of you guys should check out, and I'll show you some music, is Argentina has a big rock scene. And a lot of their
Oh,
music
that's
is
sick.
very like reminiscent of like 80s and 70s rock here because they had a huge cultural influence from North American rock, and they still have a huge rock scene there. Like reggaeton and rock are still huge there.
Yeah, I've been getting into like rock and metal lately, so I think that'll be pretty sick.
Yeah.
I have some old coworkers of mine who are from Chile, and they're both like super into rock and roll, like metal.
Yeah, it's good music.
Yeah.
It feels it's nice to have on. Sometimes you want to be like really bopping your head, and then sometimes you want to put on something that's a bit more ambient, and it's nice seeing the live instruments. So
Yeah, I love seeing a good live performance.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have some songs in this hat,
All right.
and you will pick one of them out, and then
All right, let me see.
we will play it.
Yo, you can't look. You gotta close your eyes.
I know. I'm just kind of fluffing them. They're all folded up. All right.
Okay.
Read the song.
Human Virus by Slipknot.
Yeah, let's go, dude. We were gonna do Slipknot on the
Okay.
last episode. We forgot though, didn't we?
Yeah, we didn't put any in the hat
Yeah.
for that one.
But we're gonna try and make at
mean,
the
I
end
feel
of
like,
each episode.
Oh, sorry, I wrote down the wrong name. It's actually the Virus of Life. That's what I meant to
The
write
Virus
down.
of Life?
Yeah.
All right.
So,
No, we
similar.
need to listen to the human virus, man.
Yeah, let's Google it. Let's see what comes up. But this is the one I meant. Okay, so only me and Emery can hear.
Oh, that's fucking bullshit. man. Okay, so are we gonna do our outro? Are you playing the song? I can't fucking hear it.
Wait, what?
Are we gonna do our outro?
Oh yeah, we need to do the outro.
Yeah, so this has been the 4th episode of the Thorun Skundo podcast with our good friend Emery Hollis Scott.
Thanks for having me once again.
Thank you for coming. It's an honor to have you here.
Until next time, everyone take care.
All right. Thank you very much.